Jackson, what was the first day of camp like for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. Got into the rink and then worked out. Had a good lift, and then we had testing too. A little bit. Wingate was pretty hard, but that's all right. And then just went onto the ice. Felt good out there. Boys look good. A lot of energy going. So I think everybody's pretty excited to be here. So it's awesome.
So they made you do the Wingate here, even though you did it at the Combine?
Yeah, a little bit different here, but they made me do it again. So it was good though.
Yeah. Did you do it better here than you did at the Combine?
I have no clue yet. We'll find out the scores here, but I'm pretty sure I did. I didn't have the greatest outing at the Combine there.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of a hip thing going, so.
Oh, okay. And did you know to expect it here, or was it a surprise?
It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Cayden Lindstrom told me like yesterday, so I was like, oh, okay, well, here we go again. So, yeah.
Wow. Question for you. I want to ask Cayden this too, but what do you think of the whole situation with players being able to leave the CHL to go to college?
Yeah.
Do you feel like this is just the beginning? We're going to see a wave of this over the next few years?
I feel like, yeah, it probably is just the beginning. I think it's a really good option. Like the CHL is an unbelievable league. Love my 2 years in Tri-Cities, like I've said a number of times. So, but just having that other option there, I think it's older league, stronger guys. So, and the resources there, like the facilities there, are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So getting to use those and getting to play against a bit better competition, I think gets you a bit more ready for the NHL, which is ultimately every hockey player's dream.
Yeah, and you mentioned the facilities. Is that the draw, do you think, for a lot of kids, the training staff, the people, like, it's immense compared to some of the junior programs?
Yeah, I think just the resources that schools have, it's pretty crazy to see. So I think that's a big draw for a lot of people, is the resources that they get to use there. They have basically everything you need there. So getting to use that, it's pretty huge, and it's huge for, like, you gotta be ready for the next level, and this is kind of the things that you need to do at the next level. So I think that's a big piece.
How many schools did you go look at? Can you say, or was Penn State was first?
Penn State was ultimately the main one I was going to. That's the only one I toured to. Talked to a couple others, but the only one that I visited and the only one that I was really interested in was Penn State.
How much did their run into the Frozen Four play into your decision?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece. They got they have a really good team there, so that's an added piece. And I think just having such a good team, but also me going in there, I have quite a lot of expectations to go in there and play in a pretty big role. So I think that's huge. Being able to be a big component to such a good team, it's going to be pretty fun.
What are you looking forward to getting out of this camp?
Yeah, I think just meeting the organization and meeting the guys in the room and meeting the guys at Dev Camp and just seeing how it works here. It's pretty sweet. So I think just getting on the ice with these guys and learning from the coaches here. We got a great skills development here, so I'm super excited to learn from them.
How much of a whirlwind are you in right now?
Yeah, had a couple days to kind of try to take it all in. It's still pretty crazy to me that this is real. But like I said, I've had a few days to kind of calm down, chill out. So been here since Sunday. So but it's definitely been pretty hard to gather all this information and take it all in. So but it's awesome to get this opportunity. Super grateful for everything that's happened and everything that's to come.
Has it started to sink in yet that you're an NHL prospect?
I don't even think yet. I've taken some time to try to take it in, but it's still really surreal to me to have this opportunity and to be in this position. I've dreamed about it since I was a kid, so actually being here, it's something special.
Are you and Cayden going to go one-on-one out there for Gavin McKenna or what?
Oh yeah, we talk about it in the room a bit. We're rooming together in the hotel, so we've talked about it quite a bit. I guess we'll see what happens. Got no real word on it lately, so guess we'll see. I hope he comes to Penn State, but if he goes to Michigan, then he's heck of Michigan State. Sorry, if he goes there, he's such a heck of a player that what he's doing is incredible.
When we talked to you after the draft, you said you didn't know much about Columbus, so you've been here for a couple of days. What's the first impressions, I guess?
Yeah, it's awesome, actually. Like I said, I knew nothing, so coming into it was kind of blank sheet. So having Cayden here, who's been around for a while, so he kind of showed me around, showed me the good food places, and went to the mall there at Easton Mall and kind of been around a bit. So first impressions is really good. Also, people here are incredibly nice too. They're very talkative, love talking. So it's awesome to come into this environment. It's been a blast.
And I know you played with Charlie, right, up in Tri-City. So it sounds like you've kind of got a chance to know Cayden. Who are some of the guys maybe you've gotten a chance to know and guys that you're able to kind of lean on maybe through this process? You said it's kind of a whirlwind, so imagine having some guys you can talk to helps out a lot.
Yeah, like Cayden and Chuck have been huge for me. Great guys. I also met Pinelli and Morelli. I kind of got them mixed up at first, but I thought they were brothers. Honestly, I wasn't sure, but I've gotten to know those guys pretty well. So kind of got to learn from them. All four of them, have been at the dev camp before and main camp as well. So they know how it runs. So being able to lean on those guys is definitely really nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Can you talk about your relationship with Coach Godowski and even him at the draft, maybe, and talk about that?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable guy. Just from the times that I met him, super nice guy. And he's shown me a lot of love lately. And at first, he called me saying that he couldn't make it to the draft at first, but then he showed up, and I saw him there, and it was awesome to see him there, show the support. Pretty cool to be the first ever first rounder there. So from being there to have that moment with me, it was awesome. But the whole coaching staff there is unbelievable. I can't wait to get down there and get to know him even more.
What happens from after camp till first day on campus? You get some vacation, or like you just saying?
Yeah, I actually got some time off. They kind of told me I just need to be there before August 25th is when school starts. So I'm thinking about going down there for a week and kind of getting to know it a bit. But yeah, I get some time off here and get to chill out. Not still train and skate, but get a little bit of a break. So it'll be pretty nice.
What's the golf game like, and are you ready for a big match up there? They're talking about big matches.
Yeah, golf game. Haven't played golf in a minute with all this stuff going on, so need to get that dialed in. Need to hit the range here and get back onto the course. Two of my really good friends back home both played D2 golf, one in Miami, one in New York. So got some pretty good competition there to get me ready for the big golf matches in Penn State.
One more question kind of about the decision to go from CHL to Penn State. When that decision was made, I think it was around November, what was kind of the process like? When that happened, did you kind of know you wanted to go NCAA?
No, actually, like when it first came out, I didn't even really look at it. I didn't have any thought of it until maybe March, and then my dad kind of brought it up to me and was like, hey, like this is maybe something we should look into. I was like school, like I was never really thinking about that. So started to look into it. Didn't talk to any teams though until Penn State reached out to my dad when they were at the U18 Worlds. And then started looking into it even more and had a call with them. And I started to get pretty into it. And then once I went down there and saw the place, it was pretty hard to turn that down. So it was definitely a cool process. But no, it wasn't right when it came out, I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, I'm 100% going to school next year. I was more thinking WHL, but.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing a lot of these like pretty late commits are going to be heading there next year. What's that like kind of application process like in terms of kind of getting into the school and that kind of thing? Yeah,
I think once you kind of decide that you're committing there, they start sending you a bunch of forms to sign up for schools and sign up for your classes and all that. But I got a pretty good family back home. They're more doing that for me than I am. I talked to them about what I'm going to take, but they kind of applied for me. So it was nice to have that. You have to ask them more about it than me.
In this draft, actually last draft as well, a lot of big bodies drafted, particularly by this team, you being one of them. You come to a dev camp, I mean, is that something you notice, that there's a lot of other big guys out there?
Yeah, no, there's definitely some big guys out here, big D-man too, and big forwards. So, I feel like I'm kind of the exact same size as a lot of them. I thought I was pretty big. So, it's pretty cool to see. I think we got a bright future ahead of us, a lot of really good prospects here. So, super excited to see the growth of this team even this year. They had a really good season this year, a bit of a comeback season for them. So, I think it's only up from here for Columbus.
Kind of an oddball one here, but I don't remember seeing a lot of 37s. Is there a special meaning at all behind 37? How did you get to, how do you
No, I showed up to camp and then my number was 37. So least they gave me 1-7 in there. But
So that's not your regular.
no, I'm number 7. I got it tattooed on my arm, so
So it won't be 37.
I don't know. We'll see. But I think for camp it's gonna be 37 here. Yeah, it's kind of just a number, but bit of a grinder number for sure.
Just follow up on that. You said you have the 7 tattoo. What is the significance of the 7 for you?
Yeah, so my grandpa, when I was about 7 years old, bought me a Chris Chelios Blackhawks jersey when he was the captain of the Blackhawks, and he was number 7. And since then, I've always been number 7 my whole life. So kind of had that number for a long time, and it's also just lucky sevens. Like they say, I got it 3 times, so just kind of feels a bit lucky for me.
You are roommates with Jackson Smith?
Yeah.
I have 2 questions for you about that. Have you guys talked about playing each other this coming season?
We actually haven't, no. Not
Really?
yeah, which is surprising. Usually, we'll probably be playing against each other quite a bit, but we
Yeah.
haven't talked about it once, no.
And are you both involved in the Gavin McKenna recruiting process for your schools? Have you made phone calls?
I mean, me personally, I'm just trying to leave him alone a bit, kind of let him make his own decision.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are harping on him a little
Right.
bit, and obviously
Right.
it's all over social media. So I texted him a couple times, and I talked to him and met Hat a bit, but I don't want to push him too hard. I'm
Yeah.
sure he has a lot of people already on him, so
Yeah.
yeah.
He's part of this. You're part of this. Jackson's part of this. How big is this CHL players going the college route going to be? Is this just the beginning of it?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Obviously, yeah, it's just the beginning of it. I think it gives players the chance to develop at a higher level against older guys. And say if you're dominating the CHL, then that's just kind of the next step in your hockey development and just growing as a player and as a person, and also academically as well. So.
And I've heard a lot of guys talk about the facilities, the staff around you, all of that stuff. Is that part of the draw too? That it's maybe hard for some of the CHL teams to keep pace with these huge buildings, these huge staffs, all of the workout facilities. And
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it firsthand already, and the facilities are unbelievable. I mean, they put so much money and work and effort into those facilities, and they're honestly just world class, like better than most even pro facilities even. And just I think just for me personally, I think just the facilities and all the modules they have can really help a player, especially going through injuries or even not going through injuries, just keeping players healthy and having a long career. So.
Yeah. And how did you feel out there today? How fun was that?
Yeah, I mean, I felt good. Obviously, first kid development camp's always a little iffy, but I think it was good. It was fun to be out there to meet some of the new guys, and obviously new draft picks from this year and some of the younger guys, and it was just a good time overall.
How big? And we talked a little bit earlier just about coming back and being able to play. Just when you look back on it now, how big was that for you? Just to do that as you head off to college.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was my goal all season, is to go back and play with Med Hat there, and just watching them all year on TV there was hard. But I had to do what I had to do here to get back, and worked as hard as I could. And then I was fortunate enough to get back and play in championship finals. So I was stoked to be there. It was such a good group, and it helped me a lot just coming in the summer to see what I need to work on. And there's a lot I need to work on after missing a whole year. So it was just good to see, and kind of so I could put a plan together for the summer and work on the things I need to work on. So.
I know that you spent most of this past year coming back from the injury and whatnot, but how have you changed personally in the last year? Have you changed? Have you matured? Do you feel like you've developed, even off the ice a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, facing that kind of adversity especially for a long period of time, an injury like that is you definitely mature faster, and you learn more about your body than you ever did, and probably you ever will. Young, which is good. I'm not thrilled that it happened this early in my career, but I mean, everything happens for a reason. So I think having that said, I think it's helped me a lot tremendously. I learned so much along the way and met so much good people that could help me. So yeah.
How long did it take you to start feeling 100% from the leg injury?
I'm not sure. I don't even know if I'm fully there yet, but I mean, I'm close. It's step by step every day, but things take time to heal, right? You're not going to feel 100% right after surgery. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm working hard every day, training as hard as I can. So that's all that matters. 100% will come pretty soon. So.
And then this summer, are you staying pretty much at home or in BC and then going to Michigan State? Are you here? Like, where are you at
Yeah,
this
I went back to Vancouver for a little bit, trained there, working out and skating and everything, and just hanging out with family and friends. And then came here, and then after dev camp, I actually head to Michigan State for the rest of the summer. So.
You seen any of the Jackets out there in Vancouver or no?
Yeah, I actually trained with KJ and Christy quite a bit, and Faz actually. Faz was there for a little bit. Yeah, we got a good group going on there. So yeah, it was good. It was fun.
How big was that to have? I mean, you were here. That's an experience that not a lot of people probably would have, is being around an NHL team at your age if you're not on the team. I mean, how much did that kind of help, just kind of seeing what the NHL life is like?
I mean, yeah, it's it was a bit of an experience for sure. It was weird, obviously not being on the team, but being on the team at the same time. You know what I mean? Just like knowing all the guys and being in every day and just hanging out with them, going for dinners. But yeah, it was a huge learning experience for me. Just being around older guys really helped mature me as a person and as a player as well. Just seeing how they take care of their bodies and even the way they talk in the rooms. Just they're all business, you know. So yeah, I took so much from the team and from the older guys, and I asked lots of questions and stuff like that, and just learned a lot in general. So.
Kind of going back to the conversation about college, going to Michigan State, what was that recruitment process like for you? Like, what ultimately led you to committing there?
Yeah, so I kind of heard the rumors that that the rule might get changed, but I think I didn't know. Obviously, you hear those rumors all the time. So I obviously was talking to my agent and stuff, and he said he wasn't really sure either. So we were looking into it, and yeah, we were looking into it a bit, but we weren't sure it was going to happen because it was mid-season or whatever it was, and then it did happen, and then that's when I kind of started talking to schools, and I was close to Michigan, so I was like, why not go visit both Michigans? And so that's what I did. I went and visited both Michigans, and kind of I was 50-50, so I didn't really know where I wanted to go. Took the visits, and yeah, I was pretty certain that I wanted to play at Michigan State. So I just love the facility there and the coaches and just everyone there. I think it was just the place I wanted to play for next season. So.
Yeah, does the decision of obviously Isaac Howard's coming back, Trey Augustine's coming back, does that kind of help you make that decision, knowing they're going to be another top contender again?
Yeah, obviously you want to play on the best team possible with the best guys possible. That's what makes your teammates better and myself better as well. Just playing against the top competition, that's what I wanted. Even if they weren't coming back, I think I would still go there because just the way they run their team, I think they run practice like an NHL team, and their coaches are NHL caliber. So I think that either way it would have helped me. But yeah, that definitely made it a lot better that those two are coming back as well. So.
I want to take you back to the end of this past season where you get back on the ice and you're playing for Medicine Hat. I think your first shift you have an assist. Second, third games you score a goal. It had to be nice to get back, but to also produce. And that, just how satisfying was that to kind of prove to yourself that you were back and you were kind of the same player that you were, but to just get back and have success, that had to mean a lot to you.
I mean, yeah, obviously, I didn't know how I was gonna play. Obviously, missing a year. Those points and stuff were good and all, but honestly, it was just being back and playing with the team again. That's what really made me feel good and just up my spirits a bit more, like scoring and stuff. But when you're out for a year, all you want to do is play. Playing your whole life, and all of a sudden you're hit with an injury like that for a year. Just being out there with the boys and just a tight knit group like that really made me feel like that, like at home. So yeah, it was good.
And we just had Jackson in here. He was talking about you kind of helping him out. It's his first dev camp. He's just been drafted. Stuff you went through a year ago.
Yeah.
With that experience coming back, and even spending this past year with an NHL team, do you kind of feel like a little bit of a leader in that room? Like you can help guys out and build some relationships just because you've been there, lived it before? I
mean, yeah, of course. Obviously, I've been here for a year, so yeah, I feel like a leader for these guys and even some of the older guys that are maybe new here, just kind of showing them around and showing them Columbus because I've been here for a year, so I kind of know just the little nooks and crannies of the town, maybe not everything, but show them what I know. And yeah, we go for dinners. We went for dinner last night and just kind of showing them that main strip there and just kind of showing them around.
obviously throughout the year, Thies would come out and work with me in Saskatoon. So just kind of building that connection there. And then, getting called up to Cleveland after my season ended and spending time with a bunch of guys that are out here right now helps a ton. Just building those connections with people. So definitely a lot more confident around this place. And it's been great.
And it was just the one game that you got into last year, but just what did that do for you overall to be able to just have that experience?
It was awesome. Getting into that game was great for my confidence and kind of reassuring me that, I'm able to compete at that level right now. So it was a great experience for me. And that whole time I was there was unreal. I got to learn from a guy like Jet, who was lights out to end the season here, and to kind of watch him and be around him all the time down there was awesome for me. And he was great to me and showing me around and kind of helping me out around there and whatnot. So it was great.
Evan, how as a goalie, it's the development kind of timeline a lot of times is different than maybe skaters or defensemen. Is it you have to kind of keep how do you approach that when you look at other goalies and see like what age they're making it or anything like that? Or?
No, I wouldn't say I'm looking really at that. I mean, even my time to get into Saskatoon was a little bit later than most. I didn't make the team at 16. I came in as a 17-year-old rookie. And so, I mean, I'm not really looking too much into that. I mean, sure, maybe there's some, people thinking about a certain time frame for that with me being a higher pick and whatnot. But, I mean, for me, I'm not really looking at it like that. Just looking to kind of put the work in, and when it happens, it happens.
What was that like going back for this past season as a second round draft pick? I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of a difference of you're trying to get drafted the one year, then you do, and then you go back. Is there like expectations that you kind of had to overcome and be like, nah, I just need to play?
For sure. I mean, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, I think. I put a lot of pressure on myself to, have a really good year. I think just being a draft pick, you expect a lot from yourself. So, especially being a higher draft pick, I put a ton on myself. And, I think it was good for me to do that because, I want to push myself and whatnot. But, I would say there's definitely a ton of added pressure that you put on yourself.
Evan, as you look at the different levels that you're progressing through now, what do you look at in terms of a goaltender who's at an AHL level or an NHL level and where you are and what you need to do? What little things, the minutia that you look at as a goaltender trying to get to the highest level?
I think for me, obviously I'm not this big 6'6", 6'5", 6'4" goalie, right? I'm on the shorter end of the stick. So I think just learning to play with depth at certain times and kind of things like that. I think that game that I got in Cleveland really helped me kind of see that. So just kind of things like that. Obviously working on my skating a lot more, that's one of my strengths, but it's one of the things I need to continue to grow at to continue to be successful. So just working on that with Thies and Backy and taking in the things that, they're teaching me, being a sponge because, they're trying to help me out and get me to that next level. So just absorbing all the info I can get from those guys.
And how does the quickness of the game as you increase levels, how does that impact what you try to do back in the net?
Yeah, I mean, I say it gets a lot more crisp. That game that I got into, you could tell people are making plays, they're making hard plays and just stuff like that, where at the junior level, maybe those plays aren't being made, right? So just always being ready, I would say, and, expect the unexpected because those guys can kind of do whatever out there because they're just that good now, so.
A couple of years ago, or not too long ago, if you were under 6'5", under 6'4", even 6'3", you weren't just called undersized, you were pretty much just discounted by a lot of NHL GMs. That seems to be changing now. How encouraging is it to see the UC Saros and when he's doing Jet Reeves coming up
Mhm.
and stuff? Is it encouraging to see that you don't have to be, 6'6", 6'5" to be a top goalie?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's nice to see. You know, we put in, you know, as much work as those guys, if not more, because of our size and whatnot. So it's definitely nice to see, you know, those guys get rewarded. You know, a guy like Dustin Wolf, you know, he had a tremendous junior career. Was one of the last picks of his draft year, and you know, he was in there for Calder finalist, right? So it's awesome to see for sure. You know, those guys find success.
Jeff was definitely one of the leaders in Cleveland. Just what was it about him, being able to interact with him, that you were able to get from him? Like any advice that you got from him to help you along with your path?
I mean, I wouldn't say he gave me any specific advice, but I think just how great of a person he was. You know, you'd see him in the morning. I'd always see him. You know, he'd be there before me, just in there. You know, getting himself ready for practices and whatnot. Just how he prepared. You know, he prepared like an absolute pro, and then away from the rink, he was just a tremendous person. You know, he had me over for dinner and would hang out with me and stuff like that. So, just being a great person, because that'll get you a long way as well. So.
Evan, what's it like being at camp this year? And what are you hoping to get out of camp this year that, you know, now that you know where to go, you know all the basic stuff, like what do you want to get out of it this year?
Just kind of, I think for this in particular, just kind of getting the rust out. You know, last year I was definitely a little nervous and kind of didn't know what to expect and stuff like that. So I think this year, you know, in the summertime, I'm not spending a ton of time on the ice. I like to spend more of it in the gym, getting my body prepared for the season and whatnot, and then I start to turn it up near the end. So I think for this, just, yeah, you know, getting my feet back under me, just, you know, getting back working with the coaches and whatnot. So that's what I like to get out of development camp.
Is it wild that it's been a year and that you're not the new guy anymore?
It's a little different. I definitely, you know, I've only been here for a year for doing these camps, right? So it is a little different, you know, seeing the younger guys come in, but I'm more than happy to kind of help them out and show them around because, you know, I was like a lost puppy last year, so.
Hey, Rick, you got a lot of guys out there that sort of fit into the category that we're seeing now with junior kids, from the CHL to NCAA. As someone who came up through the junior ranks in Canada, how strange is this to see? How hard is it to get used to? And do you think this is just the beginning of what's going to be a wave?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as we even talk about it more and kind of live in the reality of it. You know, it seems like each case is different. You know, whether you're playing NCAA schedule or a junior schedule, when you look at development, I think, you know, sometimes more games can help the individual, and sometimes, you know, less games and more time in the weight room can help. So it is interesting to see how it all kind of pans out. But right now, I think it's exciting that some of these kids get to experience both major junior and the NCAA.
Do you worry what may happen to some of the junior teams? I think where you came from is going to be just fine, but some of the other ones that if talent keeps leaving to go to the college ranks?
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see if, you know, the CHL gets younger. You know, what kind of happens with the USHL, if more American kids will go up to Canada and play first before NCAA. I think, you know, they're all great leagues, and I think they all have kind of their pros to develop into the next level. I still think it's a bit early to kind of project on what's going to happen and if there is some junior teams that will be in trouble.
How excited or how important is it to have Cayden out there on the ice this year and actually participating, unlike last season when he was injured?
Yeah, it's very important. You know, it was nice to see him go back for the playoffs and the Memorial Cup. You know, in Cayden's situation, just being away from the game for so long, I think it's important that he just gets his reps in at game speed. It's one thing when you're skating by yourself. It's another thing when you're practicing with other guys at game speed, playing in games. So, you know, when we have our meetings and our development team meets, you know, that's a key for Cayden, is to stay healthy and just keep playing games and playing practices at game speed.
Some of the other questions, how much influence or input did you have in his decision to go to, not only to college, but to go to Michigan State? Yeah,
honestly, no input whatsoever. you know, we told Cayden that we'd support him with whatever decision he made. You know, if we had to travel back to Medicine Hat, that's totally fine. If he picked, you know, whatever school he wanted to go to, no matter what, we were going to develop him. And I think as an organization, we kind of made a stance that, you know, we're not going to get into picking, you know, whether it's major, junior, USHL, or NCAA. We're going to let the kids and their families kind of figure that out, and then we're going to support them either way.
Because of his injury, it was a very unique year out, right? Like he was here in an NHL facility training a lot, got to meet a lot of the players and things like that. But he was also here on his own. Did you learn anything about him as a person, you know, in the past year, just kind of being able to handle that at that age, you know, just the maturity of it?
Yeah, and then you kind of add on his draft year too, and he didn't really play many games on his draft year either. So obviously Cayden's been through a lot, and you know, the one thing I've kind of found out about him is that he's really mentally strong. You know, you think about an NHL player that's played a couple years pro, for him to go through a 6-week injury. You know, everyone talks about how his headspace is, and obviously Cayden's been through a lot more than that. So he's, you know, he works at it. It's important as a development staff too that, you know, you're working on the ice, you're working off the ice, but, you know, you're also working between the ears too, which is very important. So that's probably one thing that's impressed me about Cayden.
Getting it into the draft a little bit, especially the last couple of years. We always say it's a copycat league and whatnot. We went through a whole run there for a number of years where there were, I guess, you'd call them undersized players, high skill guys, and we would remark like, hey, these guys would never get drafted 5 years ago. Do you feel like the pendulum is starting to swing the other way a little bit more? I mean, I think it was 31 players that were drafted that were 6'5" or taller, guys your size. Are you starting to see, you know, kind of that go the other way, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's interesting. You do see a lot of copycat for sure. You know, I think when Sidney Crosby came in the league and you saw how good his edge work was, I think for a lot of years their size didn't matter. I think before that, when I came in the league, it seemed like you had to be over 6 foot to get a sniff, and it was a lot of straight line power forward players. Then I think bigger guys became better skaters, and you started to see guys that were 6'4", 6'5" have the same edge work as, you know, I'm not going to say Sid, I'm going to say as guys as elite skaters. So that brings you back to, you know, how much does size help you? And that's what I think is kind of, you know, as you go through the rolling hill of what everyone's trying to do, it just seems that bigger guys have become better skaters, and they're able to keep up with those small guys that were using the edge work for leverage.
Hedge kind of asked about Cayden being here all year, but one thing he talked about was how valuable it was to be around an NHL team for a year. Even though he wasn't able to play, he got to see a locker room. He got to see what the pro habits were of guys. Just something you had to learn kind of on the fly when you came into the league. How important would you think that was for him to be a sponge and be able to take in some of those things he saw here this past year?
Yeah, I think Cayden's situation, obviously you want him playing games. You know, if he's not able to, what's the next best thing? You know, probably learning off Boone Jenner and Zach Werenski, Sean Monahan, seeing how these guys handle themselves every day. So, yeah, we would love Cayden to be playing all season, but, you know, it's maybe the next best thing just for him to have almost an open door of how to be a pro. And I think those lessons are invaluable that hopefully he experienced during that time.
And I wanted to ask about Jackson Smith too, a first-round pick. So you've not had much of a chance to work with him yet, but are you excited you get a big guy like that, and everyone talks about his skating ability? Do you kind of keep an eye out for him when he's out there and just kind of want to see what he's all about and get to learn him and be kind of excited about what's to come right there?
Yeah, he's a good example of a bigger guy with great edge work. You know, that kind of brought his skating to the next level. I got to see Jackson live a few times, which was fun, and obviously watched him a lot on video tracking Alex games. So, yeah, it's fun to see these guys live. Jackson was bigger than I thought once I met him in person. But, you know, when you kind of watch these guys all year and see them in the rinks, see them on video, and then, you know, you draft them, then the next step is you get them into town and you get to watch them on your ice. It's exciting to see that.